We back on? Alright. Hey, Internet. Broadcasting live once again from an undisclosed location somewhere rock bottom. He is the Reverend. What you know good. And we are back to finish up that illustration I was working on last night. We're just gonna jump right into it. It's the return. We are for those who didn't see the last stream. We are doing an illustration of Prince Goro from Mortal Kombat. First time ever drawing the Prince, and also I'm gonna try something a little different. I'm gonna try a different method for coloring. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but there's only one way to find out. So I'm going to give this a shot. So with that said, I'm just going to jump right into it. First things first, I'm going to set up I've already got the color flats set up and everything. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make an alternate layer, just very similar to what I did with the grays. I had a gray layer to get a basic idea of where I want my colors to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that, and I'm going to turn this into a shading layer. Before we do anything else, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure all these little artifacts here, all these little extra bits here, completely make sure all those are selected. I don't want to miss any spots. I want everything here to have some aspect of color or shade. Don't want to miss any spots, because otherwise when people zoom in, they're going to see it. We don't want that. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a copy. I'm going to make a layer mask. So that way I will only be able to affect this entire area. I won't be able to go outside the lines, basically. Make it a little lighter. Now let's give this a shot. The method I'm going to be trying right now is based on a method done by Mark Burnett, someone I've been following for a few years now on YouTube. I even have his art school digital artist program. I haven't been able to properly follow it as clear as often as I'd like to, go back to this here and there, but you can't go wrong with this guy. He knows what he's doing. The problem for the Reverend is that he's constantly trying to learn several different things all at once, constantly playing catch up with himself, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get started on the actual shading process. This is going to take a while based on what I'm seeing what he did, and basically considering the subject that I'm drawing today. I got a feeling this will take quite a while. I've got the shading layer, the layer that I just adjusted the color of. That's just basically a base layer. It's basically the grays. Just so I have an idea of what everything is. It's basically one full solid color, so that way the method we use has no distractions. I don't want any colors distracting me. We're going to pretend this is all almost like this is like a PVC figure of Goro or statue. Just without the color, it's just one giant base or a marble statue, kind of like the original game. That way, the only thing we need to focus on is just getting the shading just right. So I have it set to multiply. Um, Even though it's gonna make everything look really muddy, but we're going to adjust that later. We're going to adjust the actual color of the shading layer once we're done with the main blocking out. So I'm gonna get a color which isn't going to be like necessarily all gray. It's not going to be gray. It's going to be like grayish, but not all the way desaturated gray. Just real close. And we are going to, first things first, I'm going to have to figure out where how I want the lighting. I don't know why I didn't think about it earlier, but there's going to be this right here is a bunch of like molten rock. So, there's going to be some light glowing from there. So I'm going to have this left side more shaded, and the illumination is going to be more on the right side. Not entirely sure if this is going to work, because color theory and lighting has always been an issue for me, but there's only one way to find out. So. And if this method doesn't really work too well, we can always go back to the usual method I use. But here's to hoping I don't have to do that. Here's to hoping that we can make this work somewhere. Make it happen a little bit. But this is also why you always want to have your references. There's always going to be certain aspects that are definitely going to be shaded no matter what, just because of the way something is shaped and something is built. And this is also one of the big reasons why I had blocked out the shadows during the sketch and the rough draft. So I had a basic idea of where I know there was going to be shadows no matter what. The end result, if we succeed, is to have something looking a little more three-dimensional than I usually do. I figure for something like a Mortal Kombat character that would look pretty cool. Something that would be much more in tune with the actual art style of the series. The downside for this method is that it requires me to try different things that I'm definitely not familiar with and not used to, and I might end up forgetting to do it unless I constantly remind myself. Case in point, the idea of using like the lasso tool. For example, if there's let's say I just want to get this part of the face, I could just do this, select, and begin filling it out. And I can rest assured that nothing's getting in the way. What I normally do is something along the lines of block out what I want to actually fill up, fill in for the shadows, and then I would just blend it later, like this. For the sake of getting this done, I might end up having to do a combination of both. I really do need to practice using the lasso tool more often. I think the reason why I don't is because I lack the confidence in getting exactly what I'm trying to get, to selecting exactly what I want to select without, getting something else. But that's all the more reason for me to practice it, yeah? So since I brought it up, I might as well do that right now. So we're just gonna... Also, based on the way the layers are, based on the way I have everything set up and the way I have really clean line art, we should be able to handle this no problem. On paper. We'll see. I'm also not using the exact same brushes that Mark is using. He's actually made a recently made a video on this very topic, this very process. I think it was like a little over a month ago. And that's actually one of the methods I've been studying and practicing a little of during the last stream, since the time between right now and the previous stream. I just want to make sure I kind of get an idea of what I'm doing, so that I'm not just kind of winging it. Then again, even now I am kind of winging it because I'm still not entirely sure if this is going to work, but we are going to go for it anyway. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's just a reminder that I got a lot more to learn. Because if it doesn't truly work, it's because I don't know how to do it. It's not like the process is flawed or anything. It's all a matter of practice. And if it's one thing I'm constantly practicing, it's different art styles, because you never know what your next client is gonna need. Now I apologize if I keep looking like I'm about to break my neck. I have this horrible habit of constantly like moving my head to the side and getting a better look at what I'm drawing, which leads to me always running the risk of messing up my neck. I'm gonna go ahead and warn you, this process is probably going to take even longer than my usual method of actually coloring, because I am trying to get it as three-dimensional as possible. So there's going to be a lot of here and there, little tweaks here and there. But if we can make it look good, it'll all be worth it. I'm currently using just a basic brush in Clip Studio Paint. It's just the smooth watercolor. I might switch it up a little bit for some other brushes later on down the line, but so far I'm getting an idea of what I want. Another one that I tend to use is the Paint and Apply, which isn't really a watercolor brush, more of a thick painting brush, but if you know exactly where everything needs to be, like right here, like just punch it there, you can block it in real quick, and it's really good at smoothing it out later. But if you don't do it right, it can look real janky. Let me try something. I'm gonna actually move, since I'm just getting started, I could move this a little bit like that. Rotate it. Let me see if I can smooth this out a little bit while maintaining that somewhat hard edge. Based on what we're aiming for, that might not really work. This might be one of the reasons to go for the whole lasso tool method. Does anyone else have that issue where there's something they know they need to learn, but their brain is constantly doing everything in its power to just not? Just like, we know we need to do it this way, but it'd be cool if we didn't. It'd be cool if we could just, if there's an alternative, like maybe there's just a method that you know you need to learn, but it's not clicking, and you're always looking for like a workaround. I'll admit that has been a big issue of mine, especially when I'm learning stuff in 3D. There are certain methods that just don't seem to click, and I'm always looking for like an alternative that seems that I can wrap my head around. But I chalk that up to what most people refer to nowadays as a quote unquote skill issue. Like, we know the method works. We've seen people do it. We've seen it happen all the time. People know what they're doing. People who know what they're doing, they make it work. So why the hell can't I? Skill issue. You just need to find what part of that you're not figuring out and see what it takes for you to finally get it. Sometimes it's just repetition. Sometimes it's just just practice until you personally see what the issue is, what the problem is, what's holding you, what's exactly making it so difficult for you to get it. Sometimes the finding an alternative is the better method. Maybe it's an easier method, maybe it's a simpler method, maybe it's a more efficient method, maybe, depending on what you are doing, it's the only method that's really going to get exactly what you're looking for. More often than not, it's a case of just having trouble figuring out exactly what you need to do. Or it's just a matter of knowing what to do, it's just you're not very good at that particular thing. Sometimes it's just the skill. You just need to start grinding and boosting and just level up that skill of yours. And in time, it's like, oh, that's actually easy now. It all makes sense now. Or, oh, it used to be that I had no idea how to get this. Oh, suddenly it's starting to click. It's not really still suddenly starting to click. It's just that your brain's finally wired up to actually perform the task you weren't quite sure how to do. A little bit of practice here and there will go a long way. However, I'm starting to notice something with this. I'm starting to see myself track back into my usual style. It's already starting to look less 3D and more like I'm just doing my usual thing. I'm noticing a lack of proper gradients here and there. It's not, some of these spots here need to be blended a little bit more. Some of these need to have a harder edge, and I'm already seeing that I'm not doing that properly yet. So let's kind of bring some of that hard edge back. As you can probably guess, the way this is looking right now is not going to necessarily match the color scheme of the actual the base colors and everything. So once we're done actually blocking out putting out the shading and all that, we're gonna have to start adjusting the actual color, which is why we don't want this to be all gray. We're going to adjust the colors depending on where on the illustration it is, so that way we can start getting shading colors that are very similar to the actual color tone would be. So it won't be gray for his skin, it's going to be like a darker orange. It'll make sense once we get there. Most of the shading is going to be on the left hand side, since the magma flow is going to be from the right. Might need some rim lighting here and there. This whole thing is one big experiment, but I think as long as I don't get too frustrated, we're gonna have something looking relatively good. We shall see. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to stream this particular illustration instead of just recording it off stream. I wanted to give myself a little incentive to actually try something different, try something new. One of the reasons why I started streaming again is because I want to incentivize myself to try new things and getting back to doing things that I'm, breaking out of the comfort zone. You can tell how amateur this looks because of how just straight up janky it is. I think part of the reason though is because I keep focusing on like so many of the details before properly before I actually properly block out. I mean, I keep saying block out. Kill me. Oh. But I'm not, but the thing, I keep saying block out, but I haven't actually blocked out anything. Problem is that I'm kind of going into the details far too early. So let's go ahead and just block out like a basic idea, and then we'll get there we go. Something like that. It's gonna look a little too smooth and a little too marble-like at first, but that's when we're gonna start adding the details once everything's been properly blocked out. It's already starting to come together with a little bit more volume. That's the word I'm looking for. Volume. Why in the world is this spot never get it selected? I know a lot of people are actively against the idea of using something like an air. I'm using a soft airbrush right now. I know a lot of people complain about the idea, say that it's not a good idea, but right now I'm just blocking it out. Once I start getting back into the deets, I'll start bringing in the smooth watercolor again. So I'm going to be switching between the two of these for most of this illustration, I think. And if I need to block something out, I could just use my usual pens. Also use the magic wand tool to select stones certain parts like this. Some of this. Alright, I don't know what. That's clearly a line. Is it? How is it not seeing that? I'm trying to use the magic wand tool to get. It keeps. Is that really? Is that tiny little? Is that itty bitty little bit right there? That's all it takes. Come on now. Let me just fill that line in real quick. There you go. Now let's try it. There we go. Oh, come on. That ought to do it. And we're just going to head back to shading layer and delete that part that doesn't need to be shown. Boom. Get that. Wait. Wrong way. There we go. Keep the lights up. Keep the eyes illuminated somewhat. Not sure if we really need to make them this dark, but for the sake of just making sure we have a little more volume, this might be okay. When I zoom out to get a better look, it honestly doesn't look that bad. Not that bad. But it can use some tweaking here and there, a little bit everywhere. This right here is exactly why this stuff takes forever. But it's gonna be worth it, 'cause it's gonna look good. Hopefully. Use the, alright, I think we got something here. At least a quick idea of how we're gonna do this. Select, which you need to select. There we go. Let's not forget you. We got this. Get rid of all them little artifacts. Boom. Select you. Select you. Alright, I think we got it. Next part, the next thing we'll focus on is this part right here. Use the, sorry, so here's the idea I'm working on right now. I'm going to block out the basic idea with the soft airbrush. Once it's been blocked out, we're going to actually get into the actual details. We're just trying to make sure we have an idea of where we want these shadows to be before we go too far. Don't focus on the big details. Focus on the the super detailed part first. Just block it out and get the basic idea first. Which admittedly is something I've always had issues with. I focus so thoroughly on the minor details. I sometimes fail to provide the right attention to the big details. So something to work on, especially now that I just acknowledged it. So moving forward, if I fail to actually follow through to what I just said, someone call me out on it. It's like, hey, didn't you just say? First step in improving yourself. First step in acknowledge. I can't even speak right now. The first step in solving a problem is admitting that there's a problem. If you have any shortcomings, the sooner you acknowledge it, the better. But you then have to follow through. So if you do have something that you're working on, make sure you follow through and try not to slip back into old habits. Easier said than done, obviously, but it is doable. It's just habits really hard to break. As you can probably guess, some of this stuff I'm just kind of trying different methods on making it work, because different methods for different people, same results as long as you actually get it done. But the problem is, sometimes I'm not quite sure exactly how I'm going to make something happen. The method can't be properly followed to the letter if you don't have the exact same tools. But as long as you have an idea of what you're trying to do, you might be able to make it happen. Might be a little too much. use something a little lighter than the usual pen. I'll break out the Neo Sketcher because it's not as light. I mean, it's not as dark. And we can kind of get what we're aiming for here. There we go. So this is what I'm talking about. Sometimes I keep looking for different methods. Sometimes it's necessary though. You can't follow the shown method directly. Granted, pretty sure certain Photoshop brushes can be used in clip. I just prefer using my own stuff. So this is just a stubbornness in me doing this. But it's also kind of how I learn. Because if I don't have the same tools, and yet I can still get the same result, that lets me know that I'm actually learning. Because it's not always the tools, it's the method. Oh, hey, all right, yeah, he's drawing. How you doing? Got distracted and didn't see you there for a sec, huh? Trying a method I'm not used to. Not sure if it's going to work or not, but we shall see. I usually don't stream this early in the evening. But I figure I might as well get this out of the way while I'm done with everything else. Got off work not too long ago. Don't work tomorrow, so you just chill. That's what's up. The less we think about work right now, the better. Especially since some of us gotta work in the damn snow. South Hemisphere here, so you gotta work under the blazing heat. Oof. Honestly, due to my melanin levels, I think I prefer the blazing heat than the damn snow. Then again, I think most people will prefer heat over snow after getting frostbite. Oof. No joke, some of my co-workers actually lost some toes and some fingers. So I got off lucky during that nasty storm a couple of years ago. Shading process is probably going to take longer than expected, but as long as I focus, we're going to get something that looks pretty good. We're going to get something that looks almost three-dimensional. That's the goal for tonight. The idea is to get something that gets a bit of a 3D feel, much more than what I usually draw. Tonight we're basically trying something. Trying to get out of a comfort zone, do something out of the box. I don't know if I'm going to succeed on this. I don't know if it's going to look good or not, but only one way to find out. So I'm just going to keep it up and see what happens. If I do get done in a relatively early manner and I don't feel like stopping or sleeping, I might switch streams to some gaming. So, but I don't know what I feel like playing. So I'm open to suggestions. Thanks to Steam having all those damn sales all the time, I was able to get my hands on a few things over the past couple of months. Just suffering through Digimon World. No joke, I have honest to goodness never touched anything Digimon related. I've seen it. The only thing I don't know about Digimon is the anime series. I've never touched any of the games. But since you said suffer through it, it sounds like you're not a fan, at least of that series. I mean, that title at least. I mean, is it bad or anything? Or is it just one of those situations where you can't put it down after a while? This definitely is, the way I'm doing this, it's definitely not going to match the level of something like Mark. But nothing wrong with having something that, as long as we learn something from it, we might have something that we might pick up something that I might use in the future. You might pick up this style. Something like this. This game that really isn't interested in meeting you halfway. Kind of just throws you right in the fire. Kind of reminds me of what Yahtzee Croshaw said about Demon's Souls before they started making Dark Souls. Truly a game that stomps you to death 20 minutes in and then tells you that you can have your health bar back after you've proven you don't need it is a game that does not F around. I don't want there to be too much shading on the right hand side in comparison to the left hand side, mainly because there's a lava flow here or a magma flow, so we're gonna need to make sure that we leave a little bit of illumination here. Either that or at least make sure I'm definitely gonna have to add like a rim light or something here. I think using my little sketching pen right here for some of this shading is definitely gonna help out. It's not too hard, not too soft, which allows us to kind of add a little something here and there for those little beats, those little details. It was easier for me to enjoy Demon's Souls after having played Dark Souls. It's an interesting game, but definitely very rough around the edges. Yeah, it was essentially like the prototype. You know, it was the one they made before Dark Souls, and I think it was essentially taken out of the canon once Dark Souls came in. They definitely have learned from software. They've definitely learned after, you know, Demon's Souls and after, you know, what they were doing with Dark Souls. Now they got so many of those titles. Oh, my friend in from Illinois still tells me that I need to try Bloodborne. I haven't tried any Souls-like games yet. Though I did pick up Code Vein, which is a Souls-like, maybe. But the only reason I picked it up was because it was super, like, dirt cheap, and I got curious. I haven't actually touched it yet because I've been so busy, but, you know, one of these days. And just so in case anyone's wondering exactly what I'm drawing today, this is actually Goro from Prince Goro from um, the original Mortal Kombat series, and this scene that I'm drawing is actually inspired by the the it's like a combination of a tie-in animated series like short and based on like the comic, and it's supposed to be like a tie-in to the 1995 movie, which is total bull and a half because it got nothing to do with the movie. It's straight up an animated version of the prequel comic for the original arcade game. But they do this this grody, silly looking CGI fight scene flashback, which was still fun to watch. It was Goro versus his older brother Durak. And the prize, let me take the shading off real quick. The prize was this jewel Mika egg from the caverns of their kingdom. The idea was that every year there was a special day to pay tribute to their father, the king, King Gorbak. Durak found that Mika egg was going to present it to him, but Goro saw it. It's like, nah, I want to be the one to present that. So, and they agreed to fight for the right to offer the egg as tribute, and fight right in front of their dad. Durak overpowers Goro, and he's about to fall off a cliff, only to grab the egg right when he falls off and starts pleading for his life. Durak, I guess he cares about his family, or was just more concerned about the fight rather than killing, and he not only takes the egg from Goro, but he helps him back up off the cliff, thinking that the fight was over. Right when he's about to offer his tribute, Goro spins him around, hits him with a rolling soul bot, and knocks him off the cliff. Now it was Durak's turn to beg for mercy, but Goro just said, just shut up and give me the egg. After he takes the egg, he stands there for a second looking at his brother dangling, and then just stomps his foot and he goes tumbling, which is what I'm showing right here. The big difference between my version and the original version from the film is that Durak was falling into what was supposed to be just a bottomless well of darkness. Since the Shokan kingdom was supposed to be subterranean, I figured it makes a lot of sense that they fought, under right above a pit of molten lava. It also makes it pretty obvious. It makes it pretty certain that Durak's gonna die, because if you give them the Disney death, if they fall into just a pit of darkness, how do we know they're dead? There's no way you're gonna survive a lava bath though, or a magma dip. At least not if you fall all the way in there. But I digress. Once Goro gets rid of his brother, he gets to present the egg to his father, and according to Lord Raiden, Durak wasn't even mad that he lost a son. He was very proud that Goro did that, because they do survive a ton of crazy stuff. Yeah. But unless you're playing in game, in which case you will die in a fatality. But then again, none of that's canon. So that's they did. Then again, it's no one can really take anything seriously with Mortal Kombat, especially now that it happened in Mortal 1 Combat, the most recent one. But I digress. King Gorbak was actually quite proud that Goro did that, because the Shokan way was survival of the strongest and the most ruthless. So the fact that he was able to prey on his brother's weakness and his mercy, and basically just deceive him like that, that just shows that Durak was unfit to be the heir. He should have knocked Goro off the cliff, and then after he took the egg, he shouldn't have helped him up. He should have kicked him in the face and made him fall. So ultimately, Durak made a real big boo-boo showing mercy. Now, there's no telling if Goro in canon actually had a brother, but I wouldn't be surprised, considering that it's actually canon that Goro has 7 wives. So he probably has some children of his own. He even mentioned one in one of the endings in Mortal Kombat Gold. In Mortal Kombat Gold, I think it was Kung Lao's ending, he attacks Goro in the middle of a peace treaty signing, solely not necessarily as an assassination attempt, but as an attempt to avenge the great Kung Lao, his ancestor. He didn't want any bad blood, but he still needed to do like something to avenge his ancestor. And before those two shake hands and seal the deal and bury the hatchet, Goro actually mentions that he had a lot of respect for the great Kung Lao, even though he killed him in battle, saying that maybe, just maybe, in another time, his own son would have sought revenge if Kung Lao beat him. So I'm under the assumption that Prince Goro definitely has children, but probably aren't going to get any real attention, especially now with the whole reset after Mortal Kombat 11. I doubt they're ever gonna show any legitimate respect to any of the Shokan at this point. Not that it matters. I've heard online that any future DLC they have planned for Mortal Kombat is now officially getting canceled because the most recent story DLC didn't sell well. And of course it didn't sell well. You did too much, you changed too much, and you made a story that wasn't that interesting. I'm not one for actually spoiling myself on some of the stories, but if it's a game that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to buy, I'm not going to mind. And I won't give any real spoilers, but it really didn't do anything. It felt like a silly little what if scenario, and it makes me care more about the characters that don't matter than the characters that we were following. Because it has raises a lot of questions, and it leaves a lot to be desired, and the end result seems very, very unsatisfying. You can't just keep leading into like tie-ins and cliffhangers if there's no legitimate payoff, or if the payoff is not worth it. That is the wrong brush. I gotta be careful because I will go in tangents. I went on a couple of tangents last stream. I got unexpectedly heated, and I just started almost. It was a tangent, but almost a rant over what certain games have been doing over the years that just don't seem to add up or make sense, or it's just, to quote Sub-Zero, such wasted potential. Taking a look at some references right now to make sure I'm not doing something really stupid. If it's one thing if it's one thing you always want on you, if you're going to be drawing, especially something you're not familiar with, always make sure you got yourself some references. If only to make sure you got the shape of everything right. Struggle so much with getting reference sometimes. That's That's why before I start drawing, I gather as many references as I can, because I just get paranoid. Um, I've got. Let me take a look real quick, just out of curiosity. Give me just a second. We take time out of your normally scheduled fresh art goodness to bring you. How many pictures do you have? Yeah. Yeah, I've got 74 illustrations or pictures of CGI or action figure pictures of Goro. Just a Goro. Just because I don't know what angle I need to see next, or if there's something that I'm missing, something I need to know about. Maybe it's something I don't need to know about right now, but maybe it's a good idea. Like, just, you never know. So I just gathered just as many pictures of Goro as I could before I even started drawing, so that way, when it's time to get started, if there's anything at all that is throwing me off, I'll be like, it's okay, I can figure it out. And anyone who says that using references is cheating can shut right up. Like, using a reference to get an idea of what something looks like is something we all have to do. It's not like tracing or anything. It's not like we're putting an image like in front of the actual thing we're drawing and then just tracing or anything. Like, what are you talking about? And how do you think people develop a mental library? They had to start somewhere. You don't just develop, like a mental library through freaking osmosis. You need something to start out. You need something to base it on. The more illustrations you do, the more references you commit to memory, the easier it will be to whip it out whenever you can. You can't draw Super Mario without knowing what Super Mario looks like. So if you need an image to get his mustache and his overalls right, then so be it. With enough practice, you'll be able to pull it out from memory. But no one just comes out the gate knowing how to draw Mario. So whoever's saying that references is cheating, like, shut up. That makes no sense. Otherwise, I dare you to draw Majora's Mask directly from memory right now. I don't think these people can. Too many details. Princess Kaguya's freaking dress. All the details in that dress, let's see you draw that from memory. That's a hard no. Might be one of the reasons why I haven't drawn her yet. Though I do have him, I try if I was less tired. I hear you. I'm always tired too. It helps that I have insomnia, so I don't have any choice but to do something until the body finally shuts down and I sleep, like, without even knowing it. That's, you know what? Let me zoom out real quick. That doesn't look too bad. For someone who doesn't know what he's doing, that does not look too bad. Some parts can still get a little darker, but so far that's not bad. I think we got something to work with here. And it's only been an hour too, so we're making good time. Oh, excuse me. Take a quick drink. Let's try this again. Block out the basic, then worry about the details later. If you don't mind me asking, besides, fatigue and the work schedule, how have you been? You and I have been very busy to the point where I remember last time you and I have actually, chat. Both of us have been super busy lately. Now that one of the big holidays is over, how you been? It's not too bad, but we're gonna have to smooth that out a little bit. Doing alright, just a big contemplate on the years near its end. Trying to figure out how I'm gonna approach things moving forward. Ooh, that's all of us, isn't it? Now things are getting colder over here. Bill's been starting to hit a little harder due to just trying to stay warm. Man, the year really is almost over. Where the hell does the time go? It doesn't even feel like this year's really been that, man. I was about to say, it doesn't even feel like it's been that long, but then the next thing I know, it's just like, no, it's been a year, but it doesn't feel like it. It's like the more years you go through, the quicker they seem to pass by. It's like after high school, it's like we're constantly running out of time. I think that might be one of the big reasons why I'm constantly trying new things and trying to learn this and study for that, and feels like it went by super fast and super slow at the same time. Yeah. There you go. Every day seems to drag on, but the next thing you know, you don't have a lot of days left before the next year. It's like, but didn't we just get here? Now I think about it, there's definitely been a lot of stuff that's happened lately. Another daggone election. Roommate really working on a nice side hustle of her own. Me trying to do something for my side hustle, but no such luck in comparison to hers. First half of the year feels like it was at a year of its own. Both halves very different. I can see that. Most of the The most difficult part of the details is almost complete, so might try to pick up the pace a little bit so we can get to the nitty freaking gritty, but we shall see. I don't want to be in too much of a rush, because that's usually when things start to look kind of gross. Case in point, there's that one illustration I did of Natsume Maya from Tenjo Tenge. I rushed the colors, and to this day I feel like I shouldn't have even uploaded it because it looks like doo-doo. Look at some of the references again, make sure that this doesn't look like I'm half-assing it. Rotate a little bit. Over here adding details like I'm building like a PVC figure or something. To those people who make the figure, the cool looking figures for all these things, and the people who make the designs for guns and whatnot, those tokusatsu props and all those, before they even add the color, they gotta make sure the shapes and the molds and everything are just right. And I gotta say, whoever are making those, I don't think they're getting enough credit. They're not getting enough props, because just designing some of that stuff is a headache. I tried drawing a few of the like guns from like Super Sentai and Power Rangers and Kamen Rider. In comparison to drawing people, I could have spent hours just working on a simple gun design, because some of those things are so intricate that if you don't get all the details right, it stands out. So whoever comes up with those designs, they deserve some serious props, but also a punch in the face, because stop making them so complicated. They're so difficult to draw, man. They may look cool, but damn. I get the braces after I'm done with the rest of the body. Speaking of the rest of the body, over on my Twitter account, I posted the work in progress of this, the sketch, the rough draft, and the color flats. And for some damn reason, Twitter thought that it needs to be flagged for explicit content. Where? There's no blood. Yes, a death is implied with the falling Durak over here. But what's explicit? Is it because Prince Goro over here is essentially wearing a Speedo? Is it because he has 4 pectorals instead of 2? Or maybe Twitter's just racist against Shokan. Shokan boy too strong. I don't even know if he's supposed to have 4 pectorals. I don't think the Shokan do. The reason I drew that is because when you think about it, your chest is connected to the shoulders a bit, like right here, and the Shokan have 4 arms. So I thought, how in the world does that work if you don't have enough? You can't just stick a couple arms there. But like anatomically it wouldn't make sense. Where is it connected to? And you would need some extra spine, wouldn't you? So for the sake of trying to make sense of it, I actually gave a smaller, shorter second layer of pectoral muscles to connect to the bottom row of shoulders and the lower arms. just a little bit of creative liberty, but it was legit bugging me when I was looking at all these images of like how to draw, like all these images for Goro. I was like, some of this doesn't hold up. That's the college student in me complaining. One of those things that they were hammering into our heads while coming up with like fantasy creatures and whatnot. Told you to think about the different, even if it's a fantasy creature, we can use real world animals and their biology to try to make sense of it, to make sure that there are things that make sense. And I think that's the situation in my head. I'm looking at Goro, it's like where the lower arms are necessarily connected to, and how would it work? Because if there's nothing connected to it, it'd be very similar to like a bird's like claws, like a claw weight, like certain birds with like wing fingers that don't do anything because there's no musculature in them. Bones aren't really the claws aren't really connected to anything, so it's like the claws are just for show. Like, what's the point? So if Goro's gonna be able to freaking use those arms, he's gotta have some musculature to it, some muscle connecting it. Am I on the wrong? Oh jeez, I might be using the wrong. Oh jeez, I'm on the wrong. Yep, I am. Stupid. I am on the wrong layer. Cripes. I accidentally put everything on the wrong freaking layer. I was screw it. In that case, I'm just gonna have to merge these layers. Make a second one. Jeez. Yeah, it definitely happens. More often than I like to admit. Alright. And I'm gonna save the whole thing. Damn it. Okay. Then we're going to make another one of these. Boom. Okay. Actually, no, that is, based on what I'm trying to do, that's actually not going to work. Cripes. Dang it, and that was actually not looking bad either. All that. Dang it, man. Whoop. Well, since I'm effed, I'm just gonna have to do that one all over again. You know what I'm gonna do? Going to take that gray. I'm gonna lock that gray so I can't accidentally do that again. Oh, cripes. Live and learn, I guess, but come on. Yeah, but there was no fixing that one. That was there was no way I was gonna be able to fix that one. So let's try. I'm gonna try to get back to that as quickly as possible. Don't want to rush it, but come on, man. That was a good like 10 to 15 minutes down the tubes. So I'm just gonna do this real quick. Just try to select all this. Quickly, 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 quickly. There we go. Block it out. At least I know where all the deets are supposed to be. You take share, probably crash, have a good stream. Hey, no problem. Stay. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for spending a little time. You take it easy. And I don't know, maybe I'll catch you on Discord later. Don't work too hard. The employers don't care about us. You know, while I'm at it, I'm just going to go ahead and just start blocking out the rest of it. Might as well. I know what needs to be hit with this and that, so we're just going to go ahead and block those out. Then we'll work on the deets later. This just might be my impatience talking, but after we just wasted so much time doing that on the wrong damn layer, can you blame me? Yep. There we go. What in the world? Okay, this is getting ridiculous. What is... How in the world do we miss that? Save, select. There we go. So that way we're not missing. So that way there's nothing missing. Let's try that again. Yeah, there we go. I was wondering what was going on with that. Some about this ain't looking right. So, to the references, add a little more. Add a little more. That. Okay, there we go. Right now I'm just kind of working on the deets, even if some of this I'm not entirely sure if it's gonna make sense anymore, because I'm kind of I'm admittedly going on autopilot right now. So let me just we'll go ahead and just stop. I'm gonna back off a little bit, look at what I'm doing. Is it making sense? If not, let's stop what we're doing. Think it's gonna be alright? Not entirely sure though. Ah, I missed a spot. Oh. Alright. I think the original block out of this was better, but then again, that just might be my saltiness. I mean, who likes losing progress? Speaking of which, let me go ahead and save real quick. Save often, and yet here I am over here playing a dangerous game. Add a few extra wrinkles here. A little extra ambient occlusion right here. That should be good and dark. The crease between the fingers. There you go. Add a little bit more here. Oh, it's good to see that the chat is fitting perfectly this time. I just noticed because I had some issues with the chat recently. Just the sizing, it was clipping off. Good to know that's working now. If I'm gonna stream more often, I'm gonna have to start adding some extra content though. For the sake of those who are, for the sake of the chat. Let them know what's going on. Let them know what's what. As soon as I'm done with my other stuff and I have some time, I should totally do that. But first things first, we want to make sure we get everything done for this month. Sure the muscles as we see them are bulging out the right way. I don't want to rush it, but I don't want to take too long. I don't want to half-ass it, but I don't want to get too... Don't need to be a perfectionist. There's a delicate balance that I'm trying to reach, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna get it. Let me stop worrying. Let me stop panicking. Let me stop second guessing myself. Let's just kind of let the autopilot run, and if there's something wrong, hopefully my senses will kick in and I'll notice it before it's too late. Before we get another freaking repeat of accidentally doing things on the wrong damn layer. I'm still mad about that. Especially because I was really digging what we had worked, we had accomplished, what we had gotten. Ooh. Excuse me. Looks like my sketcher pen, my Neo Sketcher, is definitely coming in clutch for this. Granted, I always have had issues with drawing a little too lightly, so maybe I really should get a darker pencil or pen tool while I'm doing this, but I guess I just want to make sure everything is exactly where I want it to be before I really commit for the dark lines. Sounds like coke now that I think about it. And again, I can definitely make it a little darker like this. With that, statement justified. Totally not coke. Totally not coke. And with that, that can is done. I wasn't drinking last stream, but let's just say some less than pleasant news hit recently between this stream and the last, and while I was getting groceries and lunch for the week, I figured, yeah, maybe a little something to take the edge off will not be bad. One hand. is one of the cool things about trying new things, learning new things. You didn't know what you were capable of until you try it. Often, you find that you're not capable of something just yet. But you still find that there's something, even when you're failing, you find something kind of interesting about what you've done. You learn a little bit about your artwork. You learn a little, in this particular scenario, you may learn a little bit about yourself. You learn a little bit about what went right and what went wrong, and by extension, what you need to improve on. And I think we can. We as a species are capable of a lot. It's just that the way we are right now, the way we're raised, how the societies we live in, I think a lot of people have a tendency to quit on themselves. I mean, we've all done it at least once in our lives. But hopefully, after it happens once, it encourages you to not do it again, because it's like, oh crap. Because once you've given up on yourself at least once, you've seen the ramifications, you've seen what happens to you, you've seen what happens to everything around you. It's like, ooh. Is this what we don't really just intend to let it stay like this now, do we? All it takes is one really awful set of circumstances. As a direct result of quitting on yourself, to notice that it's much better to just, much preferable to just strive for something and fail than to just quit and let yourself fail by default. Because if you struggle and strive and still fail, chances are you get somewhere anyway. Hence the climb out of rock bottom. I don't know if I'll ever get out of rock bottom, but never getting out is a guarantee if I don't climb. Am I probably gonna, even if I get up there somewhere, is there a chance that I'm gonna fall right back down and into rock bottom until I rot? That's a possibility, based on what I understand. But that's not a guarantee. Ah! So the bridge will cross if we ever get there. So let's hope we never get there. Not bad. Think about it, there's another method that I'd like to try later on down the line, which I might try tomorrow when I'm done with everything else, if I have time. I'm never really satisfied with my coloring skills. I swear some of this looks good, but some of it looks like doo-doo. I might be seeing things, so. It's probably for the best that I never truly satisfied. Because no matter how good you are at something, there's always something you can improve on. Now let's get to the clothing. Or rather, what little he's got. Jeez. Select it properly, please. Thank you. Delete. Stuff on there. Start fresh. Yeah. Delete. Delete. Why do we keep missing that? There we go. Now for the braces. Boom, 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 boom. Delete. These will be quick. There we go. Now for the hair. The toenails, we're just gonna just color those in without worrying about the shading, because those are gonna be almost completely black. The same might actually could be said to. The same might be able to be said about this too, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I was gonna say the same could probably be said for the hair, but I still want to give that a shot. Oi, what are you doing? Probably starting to mess around, so let me just save before something bad happens. Some of this stuff might have to be remedied with an extra layer with the lighting. Because frankly, I'm not entirely sure if what I'm doing makes sense. And again, I am making the mistake of following some of these lines that may not actually be useful. Polish it off, no pun intended, with the egg. What are we gonna do with this dude's eyes? Ah, I forgot the wrappings on the feet. There we go. That's not bad. I don't think so. Now we're gonna add to. All right, but we're gonna take. We're gonna go ahead and start hitting the background real quick, give it a little extra detail there, and then we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna finish off the colors. So let's hit to the ground real quick. There we go. Boom, 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 boom. Wait. Boom. There you go. Turn off the effect a little bit so I can see better. Almost been 2 hours just doing that shading trick. Honestly, can't say I'm surprised. I expected it to last just a touch longer. Gotta miss the spot. No, that ain't working. Let me try something real quick. That's not bad. So what we have to do, I'm gonna blur that out a little bit. A little bit, not too much. Blend it up a little bit. Okay. And I was accidentally, I did it again, man. I accidentally painted on the wrong layer. It's kind of going on autopilot for a second. Wait. It's gonna be a little darker in comparison over there. But we're gonna add a We're gonna add something. Where is it? We're gonna add an. We're gonna. Whoa there! No, wrong layer. We're gonna add a. I'm gonna add a glow effect on a separate layer for the sake of that lava, of that magma. Jeez, you forgot a spot again. Wait. There we go. Extra effect, make it look like there's potentially some like stalagmites or mountains in the background. Make it look kind of volcanic. Okay, you know what? If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna want to do it right, so give me just a second. I'm gonna have to look up a little something because I forgot. I don't know exactly how to draw lava or magma. I mean, I've done it before, but sometimes you're not entirely sure. Just want to take a look at some. Yeah, I got this. I got this. Sometimes I worry that what I'm about to do is not going to make sense, but no, we got this. I'll admit I've always had a bit of an issue drawing certain types of backgrounds. So sometimes I'll have no option but to blur it to make sure you focus solely on what's in front. That said, I still want this lava to look good. Magma. We're underground. It's subterranean. If it's under the ground, it's magma. If it's above ground, it's lava. why I keep forgetting that. Maybe because I don't live underground. Then again, this undisclosed location somewhere at rock bottom might actually be underground. I'm not entirely sure. How deep do we go down here? That's another topic for another time. Like never. For safety's sake. Not safety. And that's a good little bit. Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad at all. Just gotta be careful not to overdo it. Look, get an idea of what you want it to look like, then apply. Sometimes I just kind of let the brain go on autopilot, and then whatever I come up with doesn't even look right. Effects back on. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, save that real quick. Alright guys, I'm going to take a quick break, but I'll be back in just a little bit. Yeah, just gonna rest the eyes, so that way when we start doing this again, when we start getting back to this, it's gonna be how do I say it? How do I say it? I'm not sure what. But basically, I just need to take my eyes off of this. So if there's any mistakes, we'll be able to see it. So yeah. So just give me just a minute, and we will be right back. we're back. Ugh. Okay, got myself another beverage. Took my eyes off the screen for a little bit. Now that I'm looking at everything, I gotta say it still doesn't look too bad. Now comes the tricky part. Making sure everything here doesn't look like doo-doo. Now, background, colors. Let's remove the grays. Now we're going to add another layer for lighting. This is going to be it's going to be hard light. It's mainly going to be one of these like orange yellow colors here. Let's see if we can make this work. Yeah, that ain't working. We're gonna have to bring it up. We're gonna have to crank it up. Like this for now. See how that works. It's gonna look real muddy at first, but that's because we're gonna adjust the shading layer in a little bit. Check my references again, get a little closer. Definitely looks a lot better on the hair. Some of that won't be needing it. Let's get rid of some of that. Yeah, after I finish some of this, I'm definitely going to have some extra layers that I'm going to add, because my usual style, it's going to come out one way or another. And based on what I'm seeing right now, there's going to be a little bit of need for some extra touch-up for the hair. There's going to be some loose strands here and there that I'd rather add in there. It's not much, but it will be a definite. It will be very noticeable. You'll see the difference. Not exactly a rim light, but it's definitely. You'll definitely notice that the light source is coming from the right hand side. Oh man. I'll admit, some of this is a little bit of guesswork because I'm not entirely sure where some of this should go. Some of it. Some of it I kind of see what I'm doing. It's gonna make a lot more sense when we adjust the shading because this thing is looking muddy as all hell. Not for long though. Boost up the size a little bit. Very similar to how I did the shading first. I'm gonna block out some of that, and then I'm gonna tweak it here. A little bit of tweaks, and add little deets. When did I start saying deets? I for the life of me don't know why I started saying deets. Even some of the layers I use in my files, which you would know if you follow my Patreon. Some of the layers I use. When I know I'm putting details, I name that layer deets. I, for the life of me, don't know where I heard deets. I don't know why I started saying that. It's weird. It's gonna bother me for the rest of the evening, I swear. Put a little bit of light on you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and definitely can't forget you. Blend it up a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Add a little bit. Do a little bit of mix of my style and the style that I'm trying to learn. That's to be expected. That's how I do things. Blend it in a little bit. Not too much like shine. Maybe a little bit here. Just a little bit. A little bit of outside rim right here. Pop out a little bit here to remind you how much muscle this guy's got. That might not work. Do we normally do? Block that out. Wait a minute. There we go. A little bit of that. There we go. No, that ain't working. Tried something there, it didn't work. Sometimes the selection tools don't work in your favor the way you're hoping. That's alright. This is still why we separate everything. Some of that line needs to be removed. What the hell's that? Get off the toe. There we go. Here's where it gets a little weird, but it's gonna make sense. We're gonna take... Wait, come on. There we go. Turn our flats into a reference layer, so... At least that's the idea. Sheesh. Take our flats, make a reference layer out of it. Select only those. And we are going to change up the color of, we just copied the shading layer, so that way we can do this. We're going to lock it so we don't actually change anything we don't want to change, and we're going to start adjusting. I'm going to start adjusting the actual color of our shading. I'm going to start adjusting. Actually, we're not even going to look at the... There we go. So on the grays again. There we go. To help us get an idea of where we want this. We're going to saturation, lower the luminosity. Something like this. There we go. Something like that. Yeah. There we go. Down a little bit. Turn on. Alright, let me switch back to normal. I'm gonna take this color right here. And we're gonna apply that color to this right here. There we go. Should be everything for the skin. The braces should be just fine. We still need to do something about these eyes though. So I'm gonna actually make a separate layer altogether for the eyes. We're just gonna straight up add some shade on this. Wait. There we go. We're gonna add another. Now we're gonna add another layer for the egg. Because I think we can add a little extra deets to it. Make it stand out a little bit more. I'm gonna use this nifty little sketchy eyes. Switch the layer type to oh yeah, that's good. Glow dodge, add glow. We'll add glow. It's not as powerful. Doesn't need to shine that hard, but yeah, that's nice. That's a little effect right there. I'm gonna add one more shading layer because even though we've got something good here, we once again have a situation where it's just not what I was aiming for. We didn't get exactly what I was aiming for, but we did get something nice to a degree. But it still leaves a decent amount to be desired. So what we're going to do is we're going to add one more. I have a folder specifically set for extra shading. We're going to do this. Boom. There we go. Now I have a multiply layer right on top of it, and I'm gonna just set that sucker to white. The paint's gonna be white, the color, and I'm just going to do this. So anything that I want to remove all the extra lighting on, I'll just go. Turn the whole thing, turn it down just a little bit. Now we got a little something better. Add a little extra. Next up, the hair, extra hair layer. I'm just gonna start drawing in some extra lines of hair. Just some extra lines right here and there. Let's be a little lighter. Something ain't right. There's this, okay, this grayness right here. Not having it, man. What is that? Alright, let's turn off the shading. So we can find, turn off the lighting. And the second shading layer folder and find out what the hell this is. What is all this? Did I miss a spot? I might have missed it. Yep. Yeah, I definitely did. But it's gray rather than this blank, which means I should be able to fill it no problem. Okay, maybe not. Some of that might actually be blank. At least on the outside, that's just gray. Some of it's not. Damn it. Alright, some of that I can fill, some of that I cannot. While it's locked, which means it's, if I have the transparency, if I have the lock, if I have the color lock and it doesn't fill in, it means it's not blank, gray, it's blank. So I just need to fill that in the old-fashioned way. Hopefully it won't be too much of a hassle. Just oops. A little oops, and a little oops, 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 oops. There we go. And a little bit more. Little oops, oops. Nope. Oops, oops, oops. And a little bit here. Oops. And here. Oops. All right, that ought to do it. Boy, what the? Alright, you know what? gonna do. Let's try this. Something here is still. If I erase all this, does that get rid of it? No. Alright. Good thing I have a mask for a lot of this. So I'm just gonna select the whole mask. Expand the selected area by 1 pixel. And see if that's what it takes to get rid of that weird grayness I keep seeing. Yeah, that's working it. There we go. Got that out of the way. Let's fill in this part right here and this part right here. Just be on the safe side, get this part too. Just in case there's something here that I'm missing. Oh, no, there's definitely something I'm missing. This right here. This is what happens when you have these little pointy points right here. Sometimes, no matter what you do, the computer just doesn't see it, can't fill it. So you're just gonna have to fill it the old-fashioned way, but it's alright. We got plenty of time. And this is why we take breaks and rest the eyes. So we see this, we catch it. Move some of the stuff out the way real quick. The stuff that we won't be needing, I'm gonna move that in a backup folder just in case we need it later, if I ever need to adjust something here. Now I'm going to take, if the computer would stop messing with me, now I'm going to adjust the color of the lines themselves. Braces. That shade could be a little darker, so it's yeah. This, I could still do a little post correction after this, which I probably will. First things first, I'm going to take the whole background and I'm going to merge into a new visible. That didn't work. There we go. Okay, there we go. BG full. Set that as a new layer. BG full. And And then I'm going to copy that and make a blur version. Because some of the background I don't need to be focused on. The question is, how much do I want to blur it out? It's actually not going to work. If I'm going to do this, the blur is going to have to take place on the actual the blur. Yeah, the line art is kind of interfering with that, so that blur is not going to really work. I also want the lines a little darker, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy that to my original lines, make them a little darker. There we go. I'm gonna add a little bit of extra glow, and I'm gonna place it in where the magma is. Just a little extra. I'm going to do a quick overlay. Where some of the stuff's going to be a little brighter. A little extra, a little extra dark here, a little extra light here. Still looking a little weird, so we're going to do a little bit of color balance. Ooh, that's not bad. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. That's looking pretty good. we got a full. We're gonna save this into a separate fifth. We're gonna make a full one, and we are going to take that. Use our masking tool again. Blur. Select, and there we go. We're gonna add a whole blur to the background again. I'm gonna go for 20. This may take a minute. There we go. Full blur. Turn this into a we're going to eliminate some of the stuff doesn't need to necessarily be blurred out, so we're going to use a mask to erase some of that. The background right in front of us, we can keep that. Everything else, there we go. I'm going to take those, merge those. Alright, and that'll be our new full version. Then we're going to add a little ambient occlusion. This is what I usually do anyway. Now that we got a full, a full version of our illustration, we're going to make 3 different copies. Oh, that ain't right. That ain't right. What the hell happened there? Alright. My computer's messing with me. I think my mouse is broken, man. It keeps double clicking. Anyway, what we have is now that we have a version that's red, version that's stop it, a version that's cut it out, a version that's green, and a version that's blue. We got these RGB versions. The red is set to normal. The green and the blue are both set to screen. Put them all together, we get the same color as we get for our full normal picture. Here's where it gets cool. We're gonna take one of those layers, and we're gonna adjust it just a little bit. Make it a little bigger, or a little smaller. I'm picking the green, so it'll stand out a little bit. Just a slight adjustment. Just a slight adjustment. You can see the green right there. That allows like a slight blur. I'm gonna add another mask to that whole folder where I put all the RGB file versions. And I'm just going to erase the blur from the face and from the egg and the hand to make sure your focus stays on those two things. Saving. And one last thing we're going to do is we're going to add one more overlay file, and it's going to we're going to add some noise. This will be for the sake of texture. little bit of a texture, and we're gonna just turn it down just a little bit, so that's just slightly visible, not too much. There we go. Not a lot. Set on 30. Saving again. Oh, and I noticed something. That blur did not come out properly. There we go. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. Not too bad. Not too bad for an attempt. At the end of the day, it still isn't exactly what I was aiming for. And it still looks much like what I normally do, but I honestly think it doesn't look bad. Yeah, I think we still, even though we didn't necessarily reach our goal, we nonetheless came up with something that came out all right, and you know the Reverend did it. Because let's be honest, with my limited understanding of color theory, this is the stuff I come up with, but it still doesn't look too bad, especially now that I've learned a few tricks here and there about post correction. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. That said, it's been almost 3 hours, which means it took me about 7 hours to get this illustration done. Better late than never though, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna post the final version of this on social, and if you guys want the PSD files of this, you can pick those up at my Patreon, where I also have high resolution versions of this. And also, I don't know when it's going to happen because I got a lot that I still need to upload. I plan to eventually upload the drawing process on YouTube, a speed paint video, so you guys don't have to go through 7 hours of me rambling and wondering what the hell I'm doing and taking breaks and all this. But hey, if you enjoy what I do, you know where to find me. I have all the links to where you can find me down below. But I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. And I'm going to go ahead and finally get myself something to eat. I have not eaten all day. That ain't good. But with that said, as always, thank you guys for watching. Y'all take it easy. Memento Mori, and I will catch you all in the next one. Kill the feed. Goro presented his father with the jewel Mika Ed, and he was very pleased and proud. For son had become ruthless and deceiving, even willing to kill his own brother to take the throne. And that was the Shokan way. Why don't they do more for the Shokan? More justice for Shokan, damn it. Like with a lot of Marvel content, I do not see Mortal Kombat sticking around the spotlight for much longer. Bummer, but these fools brought it on themselves. All the more reason to support those indies, guys. Alright, let's get something to eat.